Hello and welcome to another episode of Rugby's Rugby Offload, brought to you in collaboration with Yalla Sports and FFP Travels. The world of adventure waits for you, and there's a competition going now. So look into FFP Travels on Instagram, follow them, the daily shows, get into that. We are in for a huge episode today. We've got no guests, no fuss, just talking. Me sitting here telling you what I think about rugby in the UAE and the Middle East. All right, let's kick it off. Let's have a great show. Woo!
Rugby offload in the heat, desert sun in my face, tackles, dust, clouds, no retreat. We set the pace from Bahrain to Doha. Drama in the sands, man. The rugby battlefield is made for tough hands.
Okay, we're diving in straight in with the wrap-up of the West Asia Premiership for the weekend. So Friday night we saw Bahrain come into Dubai and take on the Exiles at the Seven Stadium. It was a good, tightly contested game early. Exiles flew out in front with a 10-point lead. I think it was literally a penalty off the bat, and then they scored a try, and they were looking good. And then Bahrain fought back, probably lucky at times, but their backfield were awesome. Every time their backfield got the ball, they took the game on, scoring at least 3 tries from coming out of the backfield on the day. So that was really good. The game was early, a lot of big collisions, big boys going up against each other, little bits of argy-bargy, but a really solid game from both sides. A bit stop-start. I think by the 27th minute or something we still hasn't got past 3 phases of rugby, so that was a bit of a tough for both teams. Discipline was poor for both teams. I think Exile saw 2 yellows, Bahrain saw a yellow. Probably could have seen another one with the amount of penalties they gave away, and it was tough at times. But Bahrain were too strong in the end. Changes made on the benches for the Exiles when John Conan came off. That greatly reduced their size, and a few other guys weren't on there. Their bench was just a bit smaller. They started getting beaten up in the scrums. They started getting beaten up around the park, and that's when Bahrain really went to work. So well done to Bahrain. Their subs came on, made a difference. It was a good win. So they ended up winning 34-16. So a good 18-point win there, and the bonus point try was scored. Shout out to some of the players. Drummond, for his first game back after tearing his bicep for his first season game back, he was carrying hard into contact. The number 15 new fella, I want to say Jack, I think his name's Jack. He was good, really good from the backfield, like really creating good opportunities, as was the new winger. 13 did really good as well. And for the Exiles, I know Liam Caldwell took over captaincy at one stage. He was probably their best on ground as well. Solid, strong, running back in the centres where he belongs. So that was good from him. So it was a tough first night out for the Exiles, but a good start to the season for Bahrain. No real big talking points. Drummond and Apelli looked like they had a bit of argy-bargy with about 2 minutes to go. The video didn't look quite good, but it was quite a way away. Thought maybe there were punches thrown, but it didn't seem like it or the refs didn't see it at the time, so that's fine. The first 20 minutes was really hard to watch at times, really stop-start, and then there seemed to be a big conversation with Yako, the ref, at every breakdown and stuff like that. In that first part of the game, first part of the season, we want to see the boys play. I know that refs need to set their goals and set their things, but you need to do it with less talking. You need to just let the game talk and move and keep going, because all that stop-start play makes it a lot harder to watch, and we want to get people watching our game. Now, the second game of the weekend, so we'll move straight on into Doha versus the Harlequins. I was one of the people affected because the stream didn't happen, so it makes it a lot harder to give a review on a game I didn't watch. But I've talked to a few people. Doha came out and scored the first 3 points. So must look what looks like a good strong start from them. But then, even though putting some good phases together and their set piece worked a bit better, obviously line out still a bit to do. But they were putting some phases together, but really couldn't finish. So credit to the Quins defensive line there. They held their nerve and really made sure Doha wasn't going to go over the line. And on the other end, they were finishing really well. I think we went into halftime 21-3 or 28-3, but then it shot out. The score was a 48-3. Bit of a pumping in the end. So the Quins will be very happy with that. Doha, not so. First game at home, they wanted to set the scene for the season, make sure they're having a better year than last year. And with some of the teams coming through, they need to improve quickly because they don't want to be bottom dwellers again. I know they don't like traveling, but they've got an extra week off coming up to think about that. So let's hope that they can get better. I'm secretly rooting for Doha this year. I want them to start flying high. They've got some good lads over there. Good people all around the club. Helpful. They were sending me score updates and things like that as well, just to make sure I could keep the posts and keep you guys informed on the day. They are good people down in Doha, so I'm wishing them the best of luck. They're my team I'm rooting for this season. All right. On the last game, I was on the comms for it, so you got to hear my lovely voice if you're watching on the YouTube. Sadly, I was competing against the Women's World Cup and the South Africa-Argentina International, so I'm not sure how many people watched the game at the time, but the Hurricanes hosted the Dragons, and the Hurricanes had a huge club day at home. There was stuff going on everywhere. They had a massive club photo, so well done to Dicko and everyone down at the Hurricanes for what seemed like a very successful day. So Rhino was down, they had stands, everything was popping. Might have even been a Gaelic tournament on at the time as well. But Sevens was popping on Saturday. Their Thirsty Thirds, all about 50 of them, were taking on a travelling select team from Saudi Arabia. I think there was 28-0 or 35-0. I've seen a couple of different results there. So that was a good start to them. Then they had a women's intra-club game before the big one. And it started out looking very tight for the first 20 minutes. Both teams were a bit cautious, but playing the game well. I think it was 3-3. Dragons scored the first three. Hurricanes came back then. Dragons scored a try. Then it seemed to be Hurricanes scoring a try, Dragons scoring a try. And it was a really topsy-turvy game. Both sides going try for try. Finally, the Dragons broke that deadlock, and you thought, they might get away with it here when they scored 2 tries in a row. But the Hurricanes, as they do, showed their grit and fight and went, no, thank you. They changed their game plan completely. They basically, James Coulton and I want to say Jerome, another centre, they basically moved on to we are going to run it straight through the middle as the centres, and the support players were just everywhere at all the time. So as soon as there was a broken tackle, there were guys around it and going through for easy tries. So credit to the Hurricanes, they fought back. Now there were a few cards in that game, 3 yellows, 2 to Dragons. I know McFarlane got a yellow early. He thought it was a bit hard done by with an offside call, which it did look like he was back onside when he made the tackle. From my perspective on the sideline, but he was given a yellow, and that was due to a few infringements, not just for that one. And then there was another yellow later on. That hurt them. There were a few changes, and their bench didn't really come on and make any strength. But Hurricanes, they had a couple of cards as well. They had 1 yellow card. Now it was confusing because their numbers did not match who they were. So it was one of the forward pack got a yellow card later on in the game. But then Big Eckelbrecht got a red card, 10 minutes into the game for a knee to the head. Very silly mistake from him, really hurting his team. And he'll be out for a few weeks, you would expect for that. So really not a good decision from him at the time, and an ugly incident. We don't want to see that in our game. But they credit to them. They moved on and they won the game. They fought really hard. up until the end and then got that bonus point win as well. So all 3 teams got bonus point wins. So all those 3 are on 5. None of the losing teams got a bonus point. So they're all still on 0. And Sharks had a week off. So they're sitting right in the middle of all that pack. The Quins will sit on top of the ladder because the points difference. Quins, Bahrain, then Hurricanes. And then the other way is Dragons, Sharks in the middle. Then it'll go Dragons, Exiles, and Doha in that order so far. So an interesting start, but we've obviously got much more rugby to play. All right, in our next... Okay, this coming week we have a massive weekend of rugby. There is games everywhere. Okay, so we're going to start out with the West Asia Premiership on... I believe it's confirmed for Saturday at the Sevens, 4 p.m. The Dragons are hosting the Exiles. So that will be an interesting game. Both teams coming off a loss. Both packs really started out strong, but they need to get through. They've both got monster second rows now with a bit of size there, but their props were lacking a bit. Just didn't have the coverage for a full game. So it'll be interesting because both teams face that problem. So, I mean, if you're a prop, it'll be a team to join because it looks like there could be spots available. So that's on Saturday. My tip is, now I'm hoping the Dragons don't sting me 2 weeks in a row. I'm going to say the Dragons by 1 try over the Exiles. The Exiles, unless they really load their bench up this week, they will struggle. So I'm going to go Dragons by, I will say less than 10. And then our second game for the weekend, or probably our first game because of the timing, is also on Saturday. So Bahrain are coming out to play a Saturday game against the Sharks. That's at 5 p.m. at Al Habtoor Polo Club. Now that's interesting. Bahrain, obviously, they're still on the old school Arabic weekend. So Saturday is our version of a Sunday here in the UAE. So they'll have to play Saturday, fly back that night, and go to work the next day with a few sore bodies. But because of that, I'm saying Bahrain's going to win that. I think they're too strong around the park. Their new prop, number 3, he was really good last weekend. I think they'll put it to the Sharks, and I see them winning by closer to 20 points. So I think it's going to be around a 20-point difference. Maybe even a similar score to this week against the Exiles for Bahrain. And the last game in West Asia, I should say, not the last game, the Quins are hosting the Dubai Hurricanes up in Zayed Sports City, so in the capital. That should be an interesting game. It's a 7 p.m. kickoff. The Quins will probably fill the hill and try and get their crowd involved. The last time they played, Quins beat the Hurricanes was at home with a bit of a makeshift team. If Quins continue to solidify, I see them winning again, but you can never count the Hurricanes out. I'm going to tip a very close game in this one. I'm going to say the Hurricanes by 3, but I'm happy to be proved wrong. We'll see what happens in that game. Now, those are the 3 West Asia Premiership games. The next game we'll talk about is in the women's 15. That all kicks off this weekend. So that will be live streamed on the RCC YouTube channel. The Dubai Phoenix, and last year they were mixed with a few teams, but this year it seems to be they are announced as the Dubai Phoenix are taking on the Combo Exiles Canes team, the Sanes, or Xanes, whatever you call it. It's Xanes. I might design a nice little logo for that, combining it with a poster, but that will be live. That'll be an interesting one. I'm sure the Quins will be having a good look at it this weekend as well, because they'll have to play both of those teams coming up. So that is exciting. We've got the Women's League coming up. I've already spoken to a couple of people, and they will be helping out, hopefully, with the podcast soon. So they'll be able to give a rundown of what's happening in the women's game, and hopefully that'll continue throughout the season, so we can give the women the love and credit they deserve. So good luck to all those ladies playing this weekend. Now, Div 1, I was going to say there are 5 games, but there are not because the Tigers and Bahrain already got postponed, and Alain already forfeit against the UUDS Tuskers. I think they heard a little bit about the Dragons friendly, and they just don't want to put their guys at risk, so they've forfeit that. So technically, the Tuskers win 40-0 with a bonus point there, so they'll be sitting pretty at the top of the ladder unless anyone else wins by 40. All right, but our other games are Exiles will host UAE Shaheen. That will be at 5 p.m. at the Sevens on Saturday, so be an interesting game. The Shaheen, obviously, they have a pack of Fijian boys that are really carrying their team. The Exiles, they were light in the scrum, which I would say that is the way to attack Shaheen in set play and through the forwards. If they get their heads up early, they will be hard to stop. And we saw them against Alexandria of Egypt and guys like Muhammad Ali and stuff out on the wings. They are fast and they are fluid. So you need to really, if you're going to beat Shaheen, you've got to have a good forwards game and you've got to keep it nice and tight. Don't let the ball get out and try not to let Shaheen get the ball at all because they will be tough to stop. The later in the game it got, the harder it gets. So make sure you are prepared for a physical battle for that for the Exiles. I'm going to pick Shaheen to win by 3 tries. All right, and then we had in the West Asia Premiership this last weekend, we had Dragons Hurricanes. This time we've got it in Div 1. So Dragons 2s host the Hurricanes 2s at the Sevens just before the Dragons Exiles 1s game. So both of those teams are at the Sevens, 5 p.m. I haven't heard about either of their 2s yet, so I don't know who to pick because I don't know any warm-up scores or anything like that, but I will start picking after we see at least some of this round. And then the final game at Shark Park at the Shark Tank at Al Hubtool Polo Club. The Sharks are hosting the Quins 2s. So the Sharks have a double header for that. That'll be at 5 p.m. at Al Hubtool. And then in Div 2, I should say the Sharks have got a triple header. They are playing their Div 2, then Div 1, then West Asia Premiership. So except for the fact that it's on Friday night. So the Sharks 3s will host Barrel House 1s on Friday night at 7:45 p.m. at Al Hubtool Polo Club. So it'll be Barrel House's first outing. Now they've dropped down a league, so you expect them to be decent. They were in the top 4 last year, so it'll be a tough fight for the Sharks there. And then Dragons 3s play the Tigers 2s in a game at the Sevens at 3 p.m. So the Dragons have all 3 teams playing this week at the Sevens, and Sharks have all 3 teams playing this weekend as well. And the last game is the under-18 boys. I shouldn't say the last game, the second last game, because on Friday night, the Hurricanes are taking on the Exiles under-18s boys. I think that's right. And then on Saturday at 9 a.m., real early doors, the Quins will take on the Tigers and the under-18 boys. So I'll try and give you a bit of a feedback on that. That won't be streamed, so I'm just relying on scores and feedback from referees and things like that. So good luck to everybody playing this weekend. It will be a huge weekend of rugby, and we can't wait for it. Okay. One of the things I want to talk about this week is the home games. Now, it seems Sharks and Dragons get all 3 teams playing at home this weekend, so it's really good. What I have noticed throughout the fixtures and stuff like that, some of these big clubs don't really get enough club days, especially with the 1s and 2s playing at different locations quite consistently. I think that's really hard for some of the big clubs. They have more players, but also their second graders, normally their second grade players, and guys on the bench are then missing out on rugby time because they don't get to play 2s into 1s. I know when I was in Australia, most of your teams played at the same location, whether it was home or away. So then if you were on the bench for 1s, you'd probably play the first half for 2s, then come off at halftime, bench for 1s, and 3s for the 2s, vice versa, and things like that. So
all those guys are getting a lot of rugby, because if you're coming off the bench with 5, 10 to go, not getting much rugby, you don't get to play with other teams. So maybe we could do a little bit more about rewarding those big clubs with the amount of players they've got for a few more club days, have their 3-2-1s play, and then some of the clubs that only have one team and things like that, they do get a little bit less because they're not putting into the comp as much as some of the bigger teams. So that might be something to think about for next season. So these teams can have big club days, ladies' day, old boys' day, all those type of things where the clubs can drum up a bit more money on their home games because they've got all the support there as well, rather than sending 3 teams off to different locations and stuff like that. So just something that I think about anyway. Anyway, I think that is pretty much all for this week's show. Don't forget, I've seen some highlights and stuff going up this week. There's been some tries. I do try and put packages together, but again, I have a full-time job and I can't always put highlights packages together, but try and get in big hits, awesome tries, silly errors, cards. If you think it's worth noting, tag me in it, share it with me as well, and I'll always share it on my story and things like that. And that goes from the under 18 boys up, or even the juniors if it's something absolutely class. I'll send that as well. So thank you very much for an awesome episode. My voice is already going a bit croaky. I spin the comms on the weekend, and we will see you next week with another follow-up episode. Masalama, everybody. Thank you for watching Bruffy's Rugby Offload.
Rugby offload in the heat, desert sun in my face, tackles, dust, clouds, no retreat. We set the pace from Bahrain to Doha. Drama in the sands, man, the rugby